Thank you very much. Welcome to the Subcommittee on Public Safety, Natural Resources, Transportation this morning. We want to welcome all those that are here connecting via the internet, and we have some good budgets for us today. We have DMV and the Office of the Military. So with that, if the Secretary would please call the roll.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Here.
Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno.
Here.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Here.
Assemblywoman Titus.
Here.
Assemblywoman Tolles. Assemblyman Watts.
Here.
Senator Brooks.
Here.
Senator Goycochea. Chair Dennis.
Here, thank you. And I know that several folks are going to be coming and going because they've got presentations. So I know Senator Goycochea was here earlier and he had to get to the other committee to present. So just mark them when they get here as being here. All right. Just remember to mute when you're not speaking. And I'm not sure if you have a question. I think I can see everybody. My Teams isn't working, so just let me know if you have any questions as we go. And for those of you that wish to give public comment, we will be having public comment at the end. Limit that testimony to 2 minutes, and you can also submit those in writing to us if you'd like. Right, and then just as a reminder, if you're new today, that if you go online to our legislative website, you can connect to the committee and register if you'd like to give comment. And so there's several ways that you can do that. And then as far as watching the meeting, it's accessible via the legislature's website or through YouTube. So with that, we're going to go ahead and begin. We are going to start first with the Department of Motor Vehicles. And I believe we have Julie Butler, the director, is going to probably start it off. And then I'm sure you'll have others that give different parts of it. So welcome. Let's see, do we have, oh, I believe you're muted. I can see your lips moving. No, I still don't hear you yet. Oh, that's not good. I believe we're having some technical issues right now. Do we need to reconnect? BPS, do we need to have her reconnect? Oh, okay, now I can see movement. Yep, and I can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, let me start over. So for the record, my name is Julie Butler, Director, Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles. Pleased to be here today. With me today is Jude Heron, our Deputy Director. I am also joined by several of our division administrators, as well as several staff. And we have 4 budgets today before the subcommittee. And we will kick it off without further ado with budget account 4716. It's our system technology application redesign budget with Administrator Norma Santoyo. We're very excited about presenting this budget, as this is our transformation effort that we've been talking about in prior hearings, and we're excited to share more details about that. So without further ado, I'll get off to Administrator Santoyo.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm Norma Santoyo, the Administrator of Office of Project Management here at DMV. And like Deputy or Director Butler stated, I'm pleased to present to you Budget Account 4716, which is our System Technology Application Design Budget, or better known as STAR. This budget account is funded with a $1 technology fee and highway funds. The 2019 legislature approved Senate Bill 553 and 542, which appropriated highway funds and extended the $1 technology fee to June 30th of 2022 to be used to pay the expenses associated with implementing, upgrading, and maintaining our DMV technology platform. Currently, we have 8 positions in this budget account. They have been working on business process improvements and planning for a logically and fiscally responsible approach to business improvement through technology. In fiscal year 21, this team and the staff, the Management and Services and Programs Division in budget account 4742, were brought together to build one comprehensive project management focused team. We have submitted a BDR requesting the name be changed from the Division of Management Services and Programs to the Division of Research and Project Management. The name change reflects the main duties of this division and the need for the formalized project management as we prepare to transform our entire service delivery. The division will consist of employees from both of the individual budget accounts, but they will work as one team, working together for the centralized management of all of our projects, including the projects needed to keep the trains on the track and also to modernize the way we do business in the future. Next, I'd like to spend a few moments talking about some key highlights this team has been working on in the last year. First, I'd like to touch on a few customer-facing improvements we have made. In light of COVID, we've all experienced this last year. In spring of 2020, the department system was modified, allowing Nevadans without social security cards to conduct some business online, a service we weren't allowed to offer before. This has opened up the opportunity for 55,000 Nevadans to use this tool. Additionally, this past September of 2020, we put our online our renewal of driver's license and identification cards. So far, we have close to 70,000 Nevadans that have used this service. Additionally, we've expanded the use of our kiosks. We have installed 40 kiosks in the Las Vegas area, and we've opened our first drive-through kiosk here in Reno. Then I'd like to touch on a project that we have been working on, part of our overall transformation project. That's our data cleansing project. Essentially, it's getting our house in order, getting all of our data ready to migrate to a new platform. Our objective here is to ensure data integrity, ensure data consistency and conformity. We have purchased an analysis tool. We've prepared our server environment, have built part of the team for this project, and we've actually captured a lot of the needed business rules and processed them through this business analysis tool. We have already identified thousands of exception records and are currently in the process of correcting some of these records, either programmatically or manually. This is a project that will span for the next 4 years, and really data conformity and data integrity never ends, so we envision this will be a continuous effort for the department. Lastly, I'd like to share the project in our motor carrier division we call McMaps. It modernizes our commercial vehicle registration system, and we started that project September of 2019, and we've stayed on our timeline. In fact, in September of 2020, we implemented phase 1, allowing several of our motor carrier businesses to conduct business online. Again, a service that wasn't available before. We are currently on track to finalize this project by this fiscal year. Now, I'd like to highlight our decision units in this budget account. Decision unit B235 requests the continuation of the technology fee that is due to expire June 30th of 2022. This request extends the technology fee through June 30th of 2026. The extension of this technology fee is needed for the implementation, upgrading, and the maintenance of the department's technology platform, and it will help offset requests from the highway fund. A bill draft request has been submitted to support this district. Next, decision unit 241 requests $102,900 in each year, fiscal year 22 and 23, to change one part-time contract position to a full-time contract project manager in support of the continuation of our transformation. This position has been working with our data cleansing project as well as our McMap project. I'm going to pivot a little bit and skip our big ticket item and do that last if you don't mind. So I'm going to go over to decision unit E729, and then we'll be back to that big one. E729 requests $3,291 both in fiscal year 22 and 23. And this is for the Office 365 software license for all staff to support the state's initiative to have us all on the same platform. Now moving back to that big ticket item. Like Director Julie Butler stated, we are looking very aggressively to transform the way we do business. So this decision supports that. As you know, our DMV system, which we call CARS, is over 20 years old. Over the years, it has been modified every single legislative session. In addition, we have to modify it every single time where there's a federal regulation change that impacts us. So over the years, we've essentially created our own Winchester house. Many hallways, many connect, others don't. Lots of doors, some doors open, and then when you open that one, it opens another one or bumps something else. Needless to say, we've had to implement a lot of workarounds and a lot of manual processes. Our technology team has done an exceptional job over the years of keeping the trains on the track, running our business smoothly, while also making some enhancements. But frankly, it just isn't sustainable. We have to change. Over the last year, we have learned so much. We have learned that online is the way of the future. It's the only way we will get ourselves out of this mess, the mess that the pandemic has created and highly highlighted, spotlighted the need to do our services online. With that said, we are requesting $27,918,746 in fiscal year 23.
Subcommittee, I apologize for the interruption. This is Broadcast and Production Services. We're having a hard time hearing you. Would you mind speaking up a little bit more and perhaps getting closer to your microphone? And we'll see if that fixes the problem.
Thank you very much. Is that better?
That does sound a little bit better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to go back a little bit since it sounds like you may not have heard the big numbers. Okay, so in support of our transformation, moving all of our business online, we're asking for $27,918,746 in fiscal year 22. And in fiscal year 23, we're asking for $28,948,827, less the use of monies from our reserves from our technology team of $7,294,147. So the total ask for fiscal year 23 is $21,654,679. This is for the support of the continuation of the system transformation project we are endeavoring in. We are emphasizing a complete overhaul of service offerings that focus on a new way of doing business, centered on an online strategy and focusing on the customer. Everything we do will be through the lenses of the customer experience. We are looking at a very aggressive 4-year schedule with a projected overall financial cost for 4 years of $109,552,460. We do estimate the ongoing cost thereafter of being $10,179,418. We are targeting, like I said, an aggressive timeline, which we are looking at starting July 1 of 2021 and running through fiscal year 25. We know this will depend on various factors, including approvals and the procurement process. Our vision does include 7 key initiatives and over 30 individual projects that will transform everything we do, from driver's licensing, credentialing, titling and registration, finance and accounting, compliance and enforcement, and our overall customer experience. At the end of the 4 years, Nevadans will have the opportunity to conduct most of their business online in a trusted and easy platform. So they can choose to do their business at the comfort of their couch, come into the office, or use one of their kiosks. To accomplish this, we are asking for 42 positions. 20 of them are contractors with specific skills for this project. These positions will work the project and they will expire at the conclusion. Additionally, we're asking for 21 sunsetting positions that will be used to backfill subject matter experts such as DMV technicians, supervisors and managers, and IT professionals that will be pulled from the front lines to work on the project. We will propose retaining a few for knowledge and skills retention at the end of the project, but that will be determined closer to the end of the project. For program success, we are asking for an in-state and training budget to ensure we take the time to capture all of the business schools and train all of the DMV staff in this new solution. We are not asking for office space, hardware, or software for the 41 positions, as we are repurposing current space available due to vacancies and some hardware and software that we have on hand. However, we are asking for 12 laptops and the related equipment to be used as a pool so that we can assign out as needed in the event we need to telecommute. We are asking for a hefty sum for vendor contracts and software licensees. This is because CARS is very complex. It's a very comprehensive application. We have taken the time to carefully analyze this application, and we have identified all of the functionality needed in the system and established a solution for each piece. This request represents those contracts and software license we believe are needed for our future. Today, we have a DMV team that stands ready, eager, and committed, and ready to work hard for a successful transformation of everything we do here at DMV. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to start with the question from Senator Brooks.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. And I didn't catch your name at the very beginning of the presentation. Would you?
Norma Santoyo.
Thank you, Ms. Montoya. My question is around Decision Unit E235. So much of what you're doing right now is modernization and efficiencies and making the services that almost every Nevadan needs from DMV more accessible. And that's really at a time when we need to be, access your services through technology more than ever. And that's being funded largely by the technology fee. And that technology fee, there's a lawsuit pending. Senate Republicans filed a lawsuit about to remove that technology fee, and that creates quite a pending potential issue for DMV as they try to modernize and make technology a tool. How is DMV planning to address any of the financial consequences that could come from this pending lawsuit related to Senate Bill 542 from the 2019 legislature?
For the record, Norma Santoyo with DMV. Through you, Chair, through the Senator, thank you for the question. Unfortunately, I can't comment too much on the current cases. It's pending litigation. But what I can tell you is that we have been planning internally in the event we need to refund some of those fees, and we do currently have enough reserves available to do what we need to do in that event.
You would just take it out of your reserves if that lawsuit were successful?
Yes, we have put aside some money from our reserves from the technology fee that would allow us to reimburse in the event that occurs.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you. I have a couple questions. You probably addressed maybe a couple of these already. I lost my connection and had to reconnect, and you may have said this already, but you talked, did you cover the implementation of your DMV transformation? I heard you mentioning the 4-year thing. Is that what you were going over?
Yes, and I'm happy to highlight the key things. Yes, we are, because of the COVID situation, we really need to have an aggressive schedule. And so we're looking at a 4-year implementation of this whole program. And what it would do is be implemented in 7 key initiatives that would touch on every part of our business, including the driver's license and credentialing, title and vehicle business, enforcement and compliance, and our overall customer experience. This would also include over 30 different projects within each of the 7 initiatives. We do plan on a targeted start date of July 1 of 2021 and traveling through fiscal year 25.
Do you have a timeline on each one of those 7 things?
We do not at this time. We are currently organizing the entire project. We do envision, however, prioritizing the business that goes online based on Nevadans' needs. For example, our private party sales, we have thousands of individuals that transfer vehicle ownership, and they have to come into the office. That is a service we think we could put online the first or second year approximately, but that is being organized at this time.
Okay, so in that timeline that you've set out to get this done over 4 years, can you explain how that aligns with your request to continue the technology fee, the increased administrative cap, and continue that fee?
Yes, we do think that the continuation of the technology fee will help us ask for less highway funds in every year, and really the benefit here is we will be using less highway funds if we're able to collect that technology.
Okay, great. Okay, I believe Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In addition to the 21 new state positions that you're requesting, in the budget amendment, there is a request for a master service agreement for contractors, and I believe that there's 21 of them. Could you explain why the DMV during this transformation effort will require the total of the 21 master service agreements?
Norma Santoyo, for the record, through the chair to you, Assemblywoman, thank you for the question. The DMV is a very complex business. CARS is comprehensive and very complicated. It will be vital to ensure that we have the right team on working on this project for success. Lessons learned from our previous attempts at doing this. One of the lessons is really making sure that your team is built correctly. The master service agreements, the contractors will be hired with a skill set that is specific to the solution that we will need. They will be able to perform at a high level, very complex environment, making it our opportunity for success much better.
Ms. Santoyo, Bob Kalin, Senior Advisor for DTV, for the record. Just in addition to that, one of the big challenges that we're going to have in implementing this over 4 years is that we're going to have to keep information moving between the two systems, between the new system and CARS as we roll out the different functionality. So we will need that additional staff so that as we're implementing, we don't double move its workload. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the technical resources to keep the current system running and the new system being rolled out.
Mr. Chair, may I follow up?
Yes, please.
So the 21 new state positions, would those positions be working on the current system, or some of them working on the current system, others working on the new system? And then the contractors, are those just temporary to help just in this transaction? And then how long would they be there? How long is that contract for these master service agreements?
If I may, first, again, Norma Santoyo, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee, my apologies. I forgot to introduce Robert Kalin. He is our technical advisor, consultant, helping us out. I'd like to answer that question. Yes, all of the 20 master service agreements are going to expire at the conclusion of this project. And they will be working, we envision them working on helping us implement the new solution. I don't know, Assemblywoman, did I answer your question? Oh, and I apologize. Also, I think you asked about the other 21 staff for subject matter experts. Those are going to be used to backfill individuals working the front lines, DMV technicians, DMV supervisors and managers, and technical individuals. We need their expertise in our current environment and our current business process to work on this project. But we also need to keep the trains on the track. We need to have people in operations continuing the business. So as they're pulled in to help us with this project, we need to hire behind them so that they can still continue to provide the services to Nevadans. At the end of the 4-year project, we do envision those the temporary positions will sunset. However, we envision requesting the retention of at least 7 of those positions, just so we can retain the knowledge and skills those individuals are gaining in this whole transformation project. We think that will be vital for the future of the DMV.
Thank you. I have another question, but I will take that offline. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. I know we have several. I saw. Let's see. We're going to go with Assemblywoman Titus first, and then I also saw Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question. I'm circling back to this technology fee, and in our notes it says that, and I need some clarification on that, continuing the need for the $1 fee forward. Apparently, what we see is that you spent $333.4 million on the system technology application redesign project in the last 5 years. But I'm also reading that they're excluding a $1.6 million transfer of excess technology fee revenue to the DMV automation budget. So if the reason for keeping this is to pay for the system technology application redesign, but yet now you have had this excess, I'm struggling understanding the justification to continue the fee.
We do have an exceptional leadership team here with me, so I am going to request some assistance in that question. All right. I'm sorry.
Could you justify, if you had an excessive amount left over from that fee and that you were able to transfer $1.6 million transfer to the technology fee revenue to the automatic budget, the automation budget, how do you justify continuing the fee if you actually had an excessive amount left over?
Okay. Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman Titus, to you through Senator Brooks, Senator Dennis. We are going to need that fee to continue the project. And what we're looking at doing is keeping 2 years of operating, plus setting aside enough funds in the event that we are not successful, that the state is not successful in defending that lawsuit. So we need those fees to keep the project going, to even get it off the ground. And then in the event that that lawsuit is unsuccessful and we have to pay refunds to Nevadans, we need to have money set aside to do that. In order to be able to afford that and to start the project, we need this fee. And it does help offset our request for highway fund revenues, as Administrator Santoyo has already indicated.
Well, how did you end up with an excessive amount? At least that's in my notes. Is that not accurate then? You didn't have an excessive amount and then transfer that to another budget?
It was Julie Butler again for the record. The reason for that was in preparation for the transformation effort. And we've been trying to work on this throughout, but we did not expend in the current biennium our original request because we took a pause throughout the biennium to step back. If you recall, last session in the 2019 session, our plan was to move forward with about a $50 million request over the biennium and move forward with a vendor. And what I decided when I came on board was that we weren't going to do that. We were going to step back. We were going to do our homework. We were going to do an assessment, and we didn't spend that money. That allowed us to build up some funds in reserve. In the meantime, there was the lawsuit that was brought forth. And so again, planning for the lawsuit, planning to continue the project, and excess built up. It's not that we don't need the money, we do. We need to be able to sustain the project and then move forward.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question.
Okay, and I'm going to have our staff clarify because you're referencing our notes, and I think our staff has a clarification on the issue that you're just asking about. I believe it's Mr. Drost.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assemblywoman Titus, just in response to your question, in your notes, there's a reference that the total expenditures for this project year to date, and there was an adjustment made in FY 2018 of $1.6 million. That reflected a transfer that was made from the STAR budget to the DMV automation budget. At the time, the department did not have a reserve built into this budget, so they had some remaining funding left in FY18 that couldn't, rather than have it revert to the highway fund, we transferred it to the automation division, and that way it was used for IT purposes consistent with the technology fee purpose.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right, thank you. Senator Goicoechea.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Butler, I'm really glad you got up there just right now. So, we're looking at all these additions in the 42 positions, whether they be master service agreement or whatever. But as we get farther into the budget, we see the elimination of 64 vacant positions. I'm kind of concerned. I want to make sure, while we're moving towards automation and this new upgrade, are we going to be able to maintain the services, especially out in my part of the world, those rural field offices, to make sure we're going to continue to have enough staff to at least function until we get to this point, to the new automated point?
Julie Butler for the record. Thank you for the question, Senator Goicoechea. It's a very good question. We had to make a difficult decision as we built this budget, looking at the available revenues and looking at our 90% of our overall operating costs are in staff. And we know the pandemic has shown us that we've got to change our entire business model. So we built this budget knowing that in order to be able to afford the transformation, which we absolutely have to do, we had to make some cuts somewhere, and that was staff. We believe that we will be able to continue providing services because we're changing the way we provide those services. We are moving toward providing them online as opposed to providing them in brick and mortar. We did not propose any staffing cuts to any of our rural offices, knowing that the staff out there is very slim as it is, and knowing that and if you look at our Tonopah office, for example, office of 3 people, when one of those persons is gone for an extended period of time, there's a huge impact. And so that's for that reason, we did not propose any changes to our staffing in rural Nevada. And that is more often where you see those connectivity challenges, people maybe without internet service, as opposed to our offices in Las Vegas and Reno, where people tend to have fewer connectivity challenges and more opportunities to avail themselves of our kiosks and our online services.
I hope that back ain't coming from me, but probably is. But I appreciate that. We understand the transformation, but clearly it's going to take some time, especially in the rurals where we're not as techy as the rest of the world, and it's going to be a little slower process. I know we've had some real shortfalls, even some rural offices closed, and because of staffing issues. We are going to get to normal for a while before we get into this new automated world. But thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Chair. So I have questions about your contracts proposed for the completion of this project. In my notes, I'm looking at a variety of contracts with several different entities ranging in cost. And I'm hoping you can explain to us the need for these various contracts, and what kind of services you expect them to provide, and how the projected cost amounts were calculated.
Norma Santoyo, for the record. Thank you for the question through you, Chair. It's a long list of different vendors. This list of vendors was determined by carefully analyzing our current CARS functionality and where we need to be to move things online and really transform our customer experience. The methodology is, over the last year, we have learned a lot from our peer states, one of them being California DMV. They have been able to stand up in a relatively short period of time what they call a virtual field office, essentially moving a lot of their transactions that previously required an in-office visit online. And so we have been learning a lot from them. We have also been talking to some of the vendors that they have used to see what it would look like to provide something to us here. So the methodology for the costing has been a combination of direct quotes for some of these vendors, as well as some of the vendors like content management or for our financial system. We have reviewed other requests for proposals from other government agencies, and we've looked at the respondents and taken about basically 75% of the overall cost of those movies in our budget. If you would like, I can go over each of the different vendors we're proposing. I think you asked for that and the purpose for each of them, Assemblywoman. The first one we're asking for is, because we're moving this whole thing to the cloud online, our cloud-based data storage, this is really the underpinning the entire solution. It's the cloud-based data storage that will house the DMV database. And we think that's a vital piece of this component. Another vendor we will need is a content management solution. This is another component of our entire transformation, and it will manage all of our content that will support our website and the information available to all of our customers through our new solution. This particular costing, as I was sharing with you, the numbers were developed by using an RFP that was recently conducted here at the department for a document management system, which is a very similar component. And so we used the respondents' answers essentially to develop this budget. The next one is the financial system. The DMV is currently finishing up an RFP for this financial management system. And we have been, we want to ensure that we integrate with the other partners throughout the state of Nevada, and that will be part of our RFP. The numbers here that we used were looking at other RFPs that had been done, and again, using the 75% of the lowest and the highest bid there. The others like MuleSoft and Slalom, these are again partners that California DMV has used, and these are just our research that we've done and received direct quotes. Is there any other answer?
Yeah, that's helpful. I appreciate it. I do have a slight concern over using California's system because their system is just so big. Their population is so different than ours. So just keeping that in mind as we move forward with their, potentially contracting with similar services, that Nevada doesn't necessarily always blend well with the California-based models because of that. And I also had a question about, and briefly, it sounded like you have a couple of RFPs out, so hopefully we'll have some more solid numbers, bid numbers on these contracted services. But can you just give us an idea of when we will know how much those contracts will be compared to the estimated values we have now? And yeah, thank you.
Norma Santoyo for the record, through you, Chair, to the Assemblywoman. Thank you for that. Currently, we are pushing for a very aggressive schedule of July 1. And we right now are preparing and doing a lot of that research. We are, again, doing a few RFPs. Because we are in such an aggressive time schedule and we need to move our services online as possible, we are exploring all of our avenues available to procure services, including using current agreements that the state of Nevada may already have. So as in the coming months, we will have a better understanding of what the true vendors will be.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Assemblyman Watts has a question.
Thank you, Mr. I had a couple of questions. One is about the budget amendment recommends funding for a total of 50 staff to travel in the upcoming biennium for the joint application development and office deployment. Can you just explain the rationale behind that for the travel for that number of staff and give a little bit more detail?
You're muted, Norma.
Can you hear me now? I think that I was muted by the host.
Yep.
Now you're good.
Thank you. Again, Norma Santoyo for the record, through you, Chair, to the Assemblyman. Thank you for that question. I had shared before, our car system is highly complex, so replacing everything is going to be a massive undertaking. These joint application sessions we call are really vital for the preparation of the overall transformation project. What they are is they are meetings, and it's important to have face-to-face meetings because we are, whiteboarding, writing up ideas. How do we streamline our process? What will the flow look like? So we're developing business flows. We're developing business requirements. We're really developing, in a picture, what does our process look like right now? What are mandatory legal required steps we have to take? Where can we cut some steps to be more efficient? And then how does that all translate into the new solution? So in the first year and the second year and the overall 4-year project, it's going to be important that we have teams that we can deploy out to the various offices, primarily in Las Vegas, to work directly with the teams. And that is what the travel budget is asking for. The additional line item of training, that is for once we have the new solution in place, we will have to train all of our staff in the new solution. And it's going to be important that we have to ensure that everybody has that learning curve and they're able to change into the new solution for success.
Bob Hayden, record. Just note the JAG sessions are going to be quarterly, and we have 4 planned each year in Las Vegas and 2 planned in rural locations such as Elko.
Mr. Kalin, I don't know if we heard you at the beginning because it cut out for me. Can you just re-identify yourself just so we have that on the record?
Yes, Robert Kalin, Senior Advisor for DTE.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I do have an additional question. I think that's helpful. And of course, you are bringing on some additional staffing capacity to assist in this project. So it makes sense that there's a need to travel and work together on this project. I noticed, and you spoke about this briefly during the presentation, that some computers and phones are going to be provided to allow for some telecommuting. So those, that's the main purpose for that. But there's no budget for office space or furniture for the new staff. So I was just wondering, could you explain how your existing office space and furniture will meet the needs for these additional positions?
Norma Santoyo, for the record, to you, Chair, to the Assemblyman. Thank you for that question. Yes, we are repurposing it, and we're using the space that we have right now with the proposed position cuts as well as vacancies and other room that we had available in the building. We are very confident that we will be able to accommodate the entire team here at the Carson City facility. Additionally, we have had on hand computers and associated equipment also from vacancies that we are going to repurpose. Again, this is trying to be as efficient and very fiscally responsible.
Thank you for that. And if it's okay, Mr. Chair, I have one more question. Thank you. This one is about, we've had the discussion previously about merchant fees for credit card transactions. And I just wanted to ask again, would the new system allow for the collection of fees for credit card payments if that was the decision that the legislature and department made in the future to explicitly recoup those costs? Would the new system be able to accommodate that?
Yes, it is a requirement that we are including in our financial system RFP solution. It's also important to note that we collaborate closely with the Treasurer's Office, and I know that they're going out for RFP or currently an RFP for their merchant services. So we are also collaborating with them. In the event it's passed, we are confident the system will be able to allow for it.
Thank you so much for those clarifications, Ms. Santoyo, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for the questions.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from committee members? I have one last question because, I know over the years we've had a lot of projects with DMV and we've had some issues. I remember back, and I probably predates all of you guys, but the Genesis system that came on and the issues that we had with that, and then more recently with the Tech Mahindra stuff. I just want to make sure that you can, and you've kind of already addressed most of these issues. We just want some comfort in knowing that this project is going to go forward and we're going to get what we actually need to get. Can you address that a little bit?
Norma Santoyo, for the record, and thank you for that question, Chair. The one thing we have learned a lot, all of us here at DMV, is lessons learned. I like a quote from Walt Disney where he says, we all make mistakes. We can learn to run away from our mistakes, or we can choose to learn from them. And here at DMV, with the new leadership and the new team, we choose to learn from them. And so we've reflected on those two failed attempts. We've learned a lot. We've taken our lessons learned. We are building, or have built, a very good, strong, eager, motivated team ready to take this project on. We cannot and will not have another failed project.
Great, thank you. I know it's a very complex system. It's got probably the biggest one that we have for citizens in the state, and so we need to be successful. So we appreciate all the work that you're doing there, and we're going to obviously be keeping a close eye on what's going on. And but there's I see some exciting things coming with the things you're proposing. So, all right, with that, I think we're ready to move on to the next budget.
Is it on? Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Mark Fries, and I am the administrator for the Motor Vehicle Information Technology Division at the Department of Motor Vehicles. I am here to present the budget for the Motor Vehicle Information Technology Division, budget account 4715. MOVE IT is basically tasked with providing solutions for the DMV business units which also includes providing maintenance and support these solutions. Move It has 80 positions, which are broken into 6 major groups who work together to provide the best possible digital business solutions for the DMV and for the citizens of Nevada. These 6 groups are as follows. We have an application support group. We have a production control group, which comprises of 3 teams, the computer help desk, our operations team, and the desktop support teams. We also have an application programming section, which is comprised of 5 programming tracks. There's a networks group, which takes care of all things network. We have a systems group, which takes care of all things mainframe. And we have a framework and control group, which handles the web servers, SQL servers, and the build process. Movement is primarily funded by the highway funds. We also receive funding from several cost allocations for IT services from other budget accounts within the DMV. This budget request includes the standard enhancement decision units for replacement equipment, such as computers and servers, software, and system maintenance. I would like to highlight the main enhancements for you. Beginning with E553. This request funds additional licenses, back up all virtual machines, so servers can be restored should a failure occur. Currently, the DMV has 134 virtual machines, with only 99 virtual machines having backup licenses. We'd like to fix that. The additional licenses will provide backup for all virtual machines and allow for reasonable growth. E605 is regarding staff reductions for this budget account. E729, this request funds Office 365 software licenses for all staff within this budget account per Enterprise Information Technology Services Initiative to have all agencies on the same platform. We're currently working with EATS on the items that can be worked on before we obtain our licenses. Our next one, E805. This request reclassifies 7 PCNs within this budget account. That concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. So you're eliminating 7 IT positions, and how's that gonna limit your ability to maintain and enhance your IT systems, or how's that gonna affect that, I guess?
Thank you for the question. Mark Fries for the record. If these positions are permanently eliminated, duties would be distributed to others in this division. Added workload to existing IT staff will result in reliance on prioritizing activities, managing increased workload within existing resources, and the unfortunate identification of activities that cannot be addressed due to resource capacity. Certainly, there will be an impact on DMV IT-related project capacity and extended completion and implementation timeframes.
So what about your planned enhancements, like your Office 365 and those? How will it impact those implementation?
Thank you for the question, Mark Fries for the record. This project will be made up mostly of my networks team, both in the north and in the south. We've already started working with EATS on this particular project, and based on what we think we know, we think we have resources for that project.
Great. Thank you. Senator Brooks.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. Good morning, Mr. Fries. My question's around E805 and the reclassifications. Could you explain what the duties of or how the duties of the application development group have changed over time that's led to this need to reclassify?
Thank you for the question, Mark Fries for the record. So when our current application was introduced over 20 years ago, it was not nearly as large and complex as it is today. However, during the 20 years of growth, our application, which we call CARS now, has certainly grown in size and complexity. This has resulted in these positions taking on more and more duties and responsibilities, hence the reason for reclassifying.
Thank you, Mr. Priest. And so these positions were reviewed in August of 2018. And you feel there was a need to maybe reclassify them back then? And if not, what's changed since then? Because, you know, you could have had maybe asked for reclassification in that last session or in the interim or something like that. Has something changed significantly since that last review?
Thank you for the question, Mark Fries, for the record. So the department, we put them in our department budget request for the previous budget building exercise. However, they did not make it into the governor's budget.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the answer. That's it for me, Chair Dennis.
Thank you. Do we have other questions? Not seeing anyone. Okay, I think that's all we have for this budget.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think we're ready to move on to the 201-4717.
Good morning, committee members. For the record, my name is John Neese, Motor Carrier Administrator, Budget 4717. The Motor Carrier Division consists of 50 full-time employees and is responsible for ensuring compliance with Nevada's fuel tax laws by special fuel and motor fuel suppliers and motor carriers in order to collect and distribute the maximum amount of fuel tax revenue due to Nevada. Additionally, the Motor Carrier Division is responsible for licensing all commercial vehicles over 26,000 pounds, licensing all vehicles with apportioned registrations, and conducting audits of motor carriers and fuel suppliers in compliance with the International Registration Plan, IRP, and the International Fuel Tax Agreement, IFTA. Today, I would like to highlight the following two decision units affecting Motor Carrier Division. E605, this decision unit eliminates 4 vacant positions, 1 auditor, 1 tax examiner, and 2 administrative assistants as a cost-saving measure. These positions are located in the Carson City DMV office. Elimination of these 4 positions results in a savings of $274,125 in FY22 and $286,301 in FY23. The second decision unit is E729, and as you've probably heard many times already, it's for the Office 365 software licenses for all staff within the budget account. The unit requests $21,627. So that concludes my 2 decision units. I'll be glad to take any questions you may.
Great, thank you. Assemblywoman Miller, you have a question?
Yes, I have a few questions, if that's all right, Chair.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. My first question, how does the elimination of that vacant auditor position affect the department's ability to perform the audits in order to ensure proper collection of the tax revenues?
Thank you, Assemblywoman. John Neese for the record. Currently, there are 11 auditors who are keeping up with the workload. This position has been vacant for a year now. Each auditor is able to conduct roughly 25 audits per year for a total of 225 audits. And I say roughly 25 a year because some audits are large, some are small. We have 112 audits planned for the next 12 months. And our current 2020 backlog is 19, of which 5 are in progress and 14 have not been started due to lower priority. With the loss of this position, we may see some audit delays. However, all audits will still be conducted on a priority basis.
Okay, and is someone joining you?
No.
Okay. So I also have a similar question, but pertaining to the tax examiner, and especially to ensure that we meet the requirements of the International Fuel Tax Agreement and the International Registration Plan. So could you discuss how eliminating that vacant position, what effects that would have?
Thanks for the question, John East for the record. It's difficult to predict whether we would have a compliance issue. However, we're taking steps to avoid IRP IFTA compliance issues by moving to staggered registrations and renewals. That would allow our customers to do online transactions and help make our work here at the motor carrier more efficient.
Okay, and one last question. So with the work responsibilities of the previous administrative assistant, describe how those responsibilities have been allocated and how has that impacted other?
Thank you for the question, John East for the record. We currently have 6 administrative assistants, 2 of which are on hold or potentially eliminated. That leaves us with 4 admin assistants, and basically the work that they do is predominantly checking, receiving the incoming mail, opening these, postmark dating them, and then distributing them to the proper channels within the motor carrier. The 4 that we have currently are keeping up with the workload, although it's, they have plenty to do, but I don't see that as an issue.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on this? Yeah, Senator Goicoechea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm just along those lines, Mr. Neese. I know you're handling some of these people in person there, like at the Carson office. How long a delay is it, say, if you walked in trying to complete a registration or fill out your IFTA return, or you had some questions on it? I mean, is there a long delay?
There is some delay, and I'm John Neese for the record. There is some delay, and at the moment, I don't have those numbers to give you. I can follow up with that if you like.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Thank you, John, and I'll touch bases with you offline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? I'm not hearing any, and I don't see any. Okay, that's all the questions that we have for this budget. If we can move on to 4742.
Good morning again, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Again, Norma Santoyo with the Office of Project Management here at the Department of Motor Vehicles. I'm pleased to present budget account 4742 today. This budget account is funded with highway funds. The Management Services and Programs Division currently has 18 positions located here in Carson City. We serve as a resource to all of our DMV divisions by developing regulations, drafting legislation, preparing fiscal notes, developing policies and procedures related to vehicle, driver, motor carrier, and occupational and business license programs. We oversee the legislative affairs and public outreach efforts. And we manage business and IT projects born by regulatory and statutory changes, as well as business improvement needs. Recently, this team and the System Technology Application Redesign Team, or better known as STAR team, were brought together to build a comprehensive project management focused team. We have submitted a BDR requesting to rename the Division of Management Services and Programs to the the Research and Project Management Division. The name change reflects the main duties of this division and the need for formalized project management as the department prepares to transform the way we do business. The division will consist of employees from both budget accounts 4716 and 4742. The positions will remain in their respective budget accounts, but they will continue to work as one team responsible for the centralized and coordinated management of both operational and modernization projects using standardized project management methodologies. Now I would like to highlight some of our key decision units in this budget account. Decision Unit E605 requests the elimination of 2 vacant program officer positions as a cost-saving measure only. This will realize a savings of $154,037 in fiscal year 22 and $161,056 in fiscal year 23. These positions were responsible for conducting research, developing policies and procedures, and helping with various projects throughout the department. These duties have since been dispersed among other staff. Decision Unit 722 requests $2,634 in fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23 for Adobe software license for all staff. This tool is needed for proper creation and management of all of the documents that we're responsible for. Lastly, Decision Unit E729 requesting $18,983 in fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23 to purchase the Office 365 software for all of our staff. This again is in support of the state's initiative to have us all on the same platform. That concludes my presentation on Budget 4742, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I believe, let's see, Ms. Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have just a few questions. The first one's on the elimination of the 2 program officers positions that are currently vacant. And it appears they have been vacant for a while. So I guess I have kind of 2 questions. The first one is, how would the elimination of those 2 positions affect the department's ability to manage and implement the various projects that you have and the initiatives, because there are very aggressive initiatives coming up? And then could you just let us know why you chose to eliminate those positions as opposed to just holding them open, the vacant positions open?
Thank you for the question, Norma Santoyo, for the record, through you, Chair, to the Assemblywoman. The first question is, how does the elimination impact us? What we have done since these positions were vacant is we have other staff have picked up those duties and those responsibilities. It does, delay some of our ability to deliver things timely. However, we are confident that the rest of the team has done an exceptional job of juggling all of the projects. The elimination is solely because of budgetary needs. And then the next question, I think, is how does was your question, I apologize if you don't mind, why not retain the positions?
Why eliminate them instead of just holding that vacant position open if you were to need it in the future?
Oh, okay. Yes, same answer. It is because we had some budgetary needs to meet, and that was the only way we could do that.
And then the reorganization that you're having and the changing of the name. I know you said that changing the name kind of reflects the duties that are actually going on now. Were there any other contributing factors in changing the name?
Norma Santoyo, for the record, through you, Chair, to the Assemblywoman. Thank you for the question. There were one of the main factors is in preparation for our transformation project. It's important that we put together a comprehensive, well-trained team ready to manage just 30 plus projects for our overall transformation, as well as 40 plus projects that we manage right now just to keep the trains on the track. So the purpose of research and project management is because we are following project management methodologies, and it's consistent with what we're doing. We also believe that following the science behind project management methodologies will be one of our tickets to success of our transformation project. So that was the reason, one of the reasons. Also, what we have is we had two individual teams working separately. The STAR team was working on projects related to modernizing DMV. And then the management services and programs team was managing projects related to operating, so keeping those trains on the tracks. Over the years, each of the teams had developed different methodologies. And over the years, we also had projects that touched both operations and modernization. So it blurred the lines at times and it caused confusion. So this bringing both teams just as a reporting, structural reporting allows the teams to collaborate, work together as one team, develop standards that are uniform throughout the department. And it really brings the skill set from both teams working together and making us a much more powerful team.
Thank you so much for that answer and explanation. I appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Let's see. Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Chair. So it's notable that the department also has a motor vehicles information technology division. Can you explain what the role of that division is in the recommended reorganization?
Norma Santoyo again, for the record, through you, Chair, to the Assemblywoman. Thank you again for the question. Our Move It division is our technology division, and they are a separate division, but we work very, very closely. The research and project management team, we are responsible for managing projects, developing charters, developing project schedules and project plans, ensuring that all of the stakeholders are informed, that we are taking care of the change management component and the communication component. As far as Move It, our technology team, we are colleagues. We work together. We're attached at the hip on everything we do, whether it be operations or modernization.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, Chair, if I may, regarding the title changes of certain positions.
Sure. Please continue.
Thank you. Can you explain some of these title change recommendations for the unclassified positions?
Norma Santoyo, for the record, I would be happy to answer your question, Assemblywoman, through you, Chair. Yes, with the bringing together of these two teams that are focusing on project management, let me back up a little bit. Budget account 4742, focusing on keeping the trains on the track, manages close to 40 to 50 projects at any given time. With the addition of the transformation, we're going to be managing an additional 30 projects or so. So it's going to be vital that these two teams work together as one. I've already shared the need for the division name change to be reflective of what we're doing every single day. So we are recommending the administrator, which is my position. The title today is Administrator of Office of Project Management, STAR. That position was modeled, from my understanding, on a Smart 21 structure. However, now that we've merged these two divisions and we're working on both operations and transformation, we feel it appropriate that we change to the administrator of the Division of Research and Project Management. The next position is the administrator for the Division of Management Services and Programs. That position has been changed only in title to the Deputy Administrator of Office of Research and Project Management. That position continues with the same level of complexity of work, if not more, because we have identified the need to ensure that we are doing better legislative affairs and public outreach, as well as helping us keep not only the trains on the tracks, but being prepared for our future. So that position is recommended to stay at the same level in pay, which is the same as other deputy administrators within the department. We are not recommending a change to the title of organizational change manager. We are transforming, we are changing, and that position is just vital, not only for our employees and our customers, but also for our business partners to help them along in this new change.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. I don't see any hands. All right. So that's all the questions that we had for that budget. And I believe that finishes out all the ones out for the DMV. We appreciate you coming and presenting your budget today. And you've got a lot of work ahead of you. And we are anticipating and looking forward to having that new system that allows us to better, I think some of the biggest complaints that we get from constituents is when they have to wait long lines at the DMV. So I think all of these new technology things, I think, will help us to be able to take care of some of that. And so thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Have a great day.
All right. Okay, we are then going to the Office of the Military to budget 101-3650, and I believe, let me look at my notes. We have Major General Andra Berry to do the presentation, or to at least start the presentation.
Okay. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. First of all, thank you for allowing us to come in front of you today. I'm Andre Berry, the Adjutant General for the state of Nevada, and this is for the Office of the Military. So to the members of the Subcommittee for Public Safety, Natural Resources, and Transportation, we are looking forward to talking to you today. And to start off, and I think you will have the presentation in front of you as we go today, I'm going to just briefly kind of give an overview of what the Nevada Military Department does, and then we'll kind of get into specifics as it relates to the budget. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the role of the Nevada National Guard. And we really have three roles, but we're an organization comprised of about almost 5,000 members when you talk about the Army, the Air, and our civilians. And 75% of our members are what's called traditional guardsmen, or what we call MDA, or drill status guardsmen, or part-time. And the National Guard, they train to do the same mission and attend the same schools as the active duty. And making sure you stay. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can hear you. You're only on audio, right?
We should be on video too.
We don't see your video, or at least I don't see it. And does anybody else see this video? Don't know if BPS can help out there.
Terra Broadcasting Productions is here. It looks like there might be a connection issue, or perhaps their camera got disconnected, but we're not seeing them either.
Oh, there it is.
Actually, now we are.
All right, there we are.
Okay.
Did you see the slides?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We haven't brought them up yet.
Okay. And it should be the second slide there.
Yeah.
All right. So the Office of the role of the Nevada National Guard. I'm going to go this could be the next slide that comes up here.
So hold on just for a second. I want to make sure that BPS can see the slide.
Okay.
Because right now we're just seeing the program itself instead of the full screen. Ah, there it is. So BPS, can we see that? I mean, are you guys good?
Yes, the slides are good on our end. There was a little bit of a delay, which is what I think you saw as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, please proceed.
Okay, so when we talk about the role of the National Guard, the first thing is what we call the war fight. And this is where we defend our nation overseas. And we've had, just in the last year, I'm talking about 2020, we had our 757 combat sustainment. They were in Poland. Our 3665 explosives ordnance, they were in Afghanistan. Our aviation unit was in Afghanistan, and we were also in Kuwait with our 189th. And so when we talk about what the Guard does, the first thing, our first mission is the federal mission, which is the war fight. Then when we talk about our second mission, when you see up there, is partnerships. And we have two state partnerships. One is with Tonga and one is with Fiji. Because of what was going on with the pandemic this past year, we didn't get to do a lot. But what's important to us in terms of our overall nation's national defense strategy, having those strong partnerships with our allies overseas really helps us. And we have the Nevada National Guard is looked at as one of the best practices in the nation as it relates to our state partnerships. Our third mission, which you'll see up there, is the homeland.
So
when we talk
I hate
about
to interrupt.
the homeland,
Sorry to interrupt you, but BPS, we're not seeing movement on the presentation. We're still just seeing the National Guard screen.
yeah, that's where I'm talking about right now.
The role.
That's the
Okay.
right slide.
That's the one.
Just
The
need-
role of the Nevada
Yep.
National Guard.
Yep, that's the correct slide. Yes.
Okay. All right. Just want to make
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I just talked about the war fight, which you'll see right under where it says Guard. And then I talked about partnerships under national. So now I'm going to talk about the homeland. And the homeland is where you've probably seen pretty good visibility of the National Guard. We had over this past 2020 up to 2021, this was the largest state activation in the history of the state of Nevada. At one time, we had almost 1,200 National Guardsmen on state active duty. This is where they helped with the pandemic, the COVID-19. They helped at vaccination sites. They helped with contact tracing. They help with call centers. They help with food delivery, veterans home screening. We have administered almost 300,000 vaccines up to now. We talk about the homeland. We had what we call our MAFs, our Modular Airborne Firefighting System, help with the California wildfires. This was the largest activation of MAFs in history. We also have helped with snow removal in Virginia City. We help with floods. We have done quite a bit around the nation. We had personnel go back to our nation's capital to help with some of the civil unrest. They also help with some of the civil unrest in the state. So I just wanted to kind of give you just an overall view of what the role of the Nevada National Guard is. Okay, so if you go to the next slide, our mission is really to provide ready organizations and individuals to perform our state and federal mission globally and domestically. When you hear about the National Guard, we always talk about always ready, always there. And this is I believe it's one of America's true treasures in terms of the ability. You have almost 5,000 members who on a moment's notice can help you domestically, or they can help you abroad. So that is really what you hear when you talk about the National Guard. So also when we talk about, and that's just our mission statement. Thanks. So when you look at where we're located, we're all over the state. Sometimes people think we're kind of limited, but the National Guard is all over the state. So this kind of gives you just an overview of our armories and our bases. We're also based on Nellis. We just recently picked up a new mission down at the Nellis Air Force Base, our combat training squadron. We're up north. We have facilities in Las Vegas. We have them in Carlin. We have them in Winnemucca. We have them in Fallon. So this is just an overview for the committee to understand that we're all over the place. The other thing that I really want everybody to understand is the Nevada National Guard is one of the few National Guard units around the nation that are positioned and postured to grow. Our recruiting is some of the best in the nation. Our retention is below 10%. When I talk about our members tend to stay. We recently acquired additional almost 200 personnel to go to our Signal Battalion. And when I've talked to the leadership at National Guard Bureau, I talk about the fact that Nevada is positioned and ready to grow with more missions where they make sense. And so when we talk later on in here about how we're trying to grow some of our infrastructure, because our force structure is positioned to grow. And right now, with the growth of the state in terms of population, you're seeing many of our citizens are signing up to be a part of the National Guard. one job when I do this job is to is to work on strategic alignment, is to work on talent management, is to work on culture. But I have what's called 3 non-negotiables, and there's safety. When I talk about safety, it's the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual well-being of our members. That's my first non-negotiable. My second one I talk about is unity. In light of everything that's going on in the world today, it's critical that we are the examples and the role models as an organization to work together collectively and to be interdependent on each other to accomplish our mission. And then our third one is what I call integrity. If to wear this uniform, to be the less than 1%, it shouldn't matter when our citizens see us. It shouldn't matter when we're stewards of what our nation has provided us. And it shouldn't matter when we represent what is great about our nation domestically and abroad. We have 5 strategic priorities that I work on diligently on a regular basis. The first is readiness. We always have to be ready for the 3 missions domestically and abroad. When I talk about the war fight, when I talk about protecting the homeland, and when I talk about partnerships. And so we spend an inordinate amount of our time to make sure we have a ready force. Care for our members and our families. We ask a lot of our guardsmen. And if you think about the ones who have been on what we call 502F or the COVID mission, they've been doing that for over a year. When you think about the ones who deploy, we ask them to leave their families for up to a year, sometimes longer. And so we have a very strong families program, but it's also important that we know that we're watching out for our members mentally, physically, emotionally, and we give them the tools and the resources to do their job. We talk about diversity, equity, inclusion. We're a force that embraces all of what's good about our members and our nation and those who live in our state. And we work very hard. I'm not going to talk a lot about it here, but we recently, over the last 6 months, hired a chief diversity officer to look at our processes, how we hire, how we retain, how we recruit, how we promote, to make sure it's fair and professional. We talk about community. We're a community-based organization, and we want strong partnerships with our community. And when you see the active duty, they're in locations temporarily. When you see the Guard, we live in your neighborhoods. We are part of who you are. And we like to say we're neighbors helping neighbors. And then the last one is force development. We put a lot of time and attention into how we develop the force, not just to be for the war fight, but also how to be better leaders. I've heard it said, and I like to use this on a regular basis, everybody wins when a leader gets better. So I put a lot of time and attention into that. September is the month that we put a lot of, where we take people off-site or away from their regular work duties to work on how they develop themselves and to work on their skill set, the heart set, the mindset, to be better leaders in terms of how we take care of our force. And so that's where I put my time and attention to with the strategic priorities and the non-negotiables. And I believe that when you look at the Nevada National Guard, we're not the largest state. We don't have the most resources. We don't have the biggest budget, but from a talent standpoint, you will find some of the greatest members of the military that are part of this organization. So that briefly talks about just an overview of your Nevada National Guard. Always ready, always there, always want to support. We love to serve and we love what we do. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Tyler, Ms. Cheryl Tyler, who's going to talk about our budget piece.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Cheryl Tyler, the Administrative Services Officer for Office of the Military. So the next slide, this slide shows the appropriated federal funds that we receive on top of what we receive within our budget. So for federal fiscal year 19, we received 73.5 million. For federal fiscal year 20, we received 77.2 million for Air National Guard. The next slide is for the Nevada Army Guard. So for federal fiscal year 19, we received 98.8 million. And for federal fiscal year 20, we received 93.3 million to support our Nevada Army National Guard. So Office of the Military state employees provide administrative, accounting, personnel, firefighting, security, range operations, family services programs, assistance, project management, operating and maintenance services to the Nevada National Guard for all facilities assigned to the Office of the Military within the whole state. The agency provides outstanding customer service that maximizes the available resources and informs pertinent parties as to the status of master cooperative agreement in relation to the state budget and to maintain and secure the facilities in conjunction with those resources. The agency receives federal support through a master cooperative agreement established between the between the state of Nevada and the National Guard Bureau. The master cooperative agreement includes all terms and conditions related to NGB's federal funds contribution for the operation and training of the Nevada Army and Air National Guard. Shown are the 14 appendices under the master cooperative agreement, of which 11 underlined are 100% federally reimbursed. Agency also has a cooperative agreement with National Guard Bureau to receive federal funding for the operations of the Nevada National Guard Youth Challenge Program. With us is Ms. Lauren Schulman, Administrator for the Nevada National Guard Youth Challenge Program, to provide an update on the program.
Good morning. My name is Lauren Schulman, and I'm proud to be the Program Administrator for the Battleborn Youth Challenge Academy. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for the opportunity to share the progress that we're making towards training our future leaders. The Battleborn Youth Challenge Academy was established in 2019, and through the cooperative agreement with the National Guard Bureau and the state, we are 75% federally reimbursed. Our inaugural class will report the 18th of July, and we are targeting 95 graduates 22 weeks later on the 17th of December. The building renovations are currently ongoing and are anticipated to be completed next month in April. Our admissions team has been meeting with stakeholders around the state, and as of last week, we have begun doing applicant presentations as well. Our application is currently available on our website. Additionally, as we meet with stakeholders, we are providing the printed hard copies for them to pass out as well. We are working on a revised hiring timeline as we build our team. We have overcome several obstacles with a few resignations, a few offers declined, and we are currently working through the transition to the Smart 21. However, we're working diligently to build our team with qualified members. Additionally, we continue to work closely with our partners at Elko County School District. They have hired 9 of the 12 staff members that will be working at the Battleborn Youth Challenge Academy. Additionally, they continue to order supplies and prepare the classrooms for our cadets in July. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share these updates with you. And if you have any questions, I would love the opportunity to answer them at this time.
Thank you. We do have some questions, I believe. Let's see. Assemblyman Watts, let's start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you just provide a quick update on the office's recruitment efforts to hire the remaining 41 positions for this program?
Absolutely. So we have the positions listed on the website. Additionally, as we're meeting with our stakeholders, we're sharing with them the opportunities that we do have available for staff. And we're working closely with other challenge programs across the country. They have expressed interest from other programs for individuals who are interested in growth and moving to the state of Nevada.
Thank you for that. And then on the other side of recruitment, looking at students, can you just give a quick update on those recruitment efforts? And do you expect that you'll have all 120 candidates for the first class?
Do or die come July, sir. Absolutely. We will bring in 120 candidates on July 18th. Our admission specialists are in the South. We have 2 in Clark County. We have 1 in Washoe County, and we have an additional admission specialist in Carlin that works the rural areas.
All right. Thank you. I believe those are all the questions I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I have questions over the actual funding around the challenge school. We know that when we passed this last session, that students in the challenge school are entitled to all the entire funding, state and local funding that any other student is entitled to.
Yes.
By definition for the challenge schools. And so what we're seeing as we're learning that Elko School District is not applying all of the funding. They're just applying what is guaranteed from the state through the Nevada plan. And so where students are funded with that guaranteed funding from the Nevada plan and the additional funding that comes from the state and local or the local governments, which would include property tax, governmental services tax, and franchise tax. So my first question is, why isn't the Elko School District applying that full funding that includes state and local funding to the challenge school, like they are for all of their other students?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question. For the record, this is Lauren Schulman. If we do stay with the Nevada plan, ma'am, then yes, we will, our students, our cadets will be eligible for the same funding that every other student in the Elko County School District is eligible for.
Okay, so I understand that they will be eligible, but will they actually receive it? Will that additional funding actually be applied to their program?
So we will have to work with the school district to have the wording captured. However, yes, ma'am, that is the intention.
Follow up, Chair. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
please.
you. So can you explain why they haven't? I mean, I know that the program's not at full capacity with the cadets right now, but why hasn't it already been applied?
We currently are not open, so we do not have any students.
Okay.
And when we drafted the MOU, we took into consideration the possibility of changing to the pupil-centered disbursement. So that was the way that the wording was originally captured.
Okay, so it's in an MOU, so that means it's not a contract, it's just an MOU that could be adjusted at any time, correct?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so it will be adjusted to reflect all of the entire funding?
Yes, ma'am, it will.
Okay, because again, I would have concerns about where that additional funding was going and who it was being applied to when these cadets would be entitled to the full funding as all of our students in the state.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chair. That concludes my questions.
Okay, I believe Senator Goicoechea had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I did reach out when I looked at this budget to Elko County School District, and they really haven't had any conversations recently, as I understand it. At least that's what they are running under the assumption, as this came forward, that they would be reimbursed. And so that's kind of where they're at. And it'll be at whatever level, again, whether it's the Nevada plan but they really haven't had any recent conversations as I understand it, other than they have hired a principal, Paul McElhinney, and part of that staff is available. They are working forward with it. And just an FYI to the committee, like I say, reaching out to the Elko County School Board, I don't think there's any real issue. They're just waiting for all the pieces to get into place.
Thank you. I believe Senator Brooks has a question.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. My question's around E350 and the addition of the new psychological health manager position. And I mean, it's very glad to see that we're increasing the capability at the Guard around mental health and for our members and their families. And I just would like you to, if you could, just expand upon what that addition of that position will do to help provide services to the members of the Guard and their families.
And to answer that question, I'll turn it over to Cheryl Tyler. Thank you very much.
Cheryl Tyler, for the record. We apologize, but the details of budget account 3650 will also be discussed in the next few slides. So would you rather I continue with the slides or answer the questions first before I present the slides that includes the Director for Psychological Health Manager?
Maybe we should have you do that first and then have him ask the question if you have.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
So,
I didn't think you were going to present any more of the slides.
Yeah, I thought
I
we were.
apologize.
Yeah, I thought we were done. So let's make sure we finish
I
that.
apologize. So we'll put up the rest of the slides. Again, for the record, this is Cheryl Tyler. Next, we'll get into the details for budget account 3650. So budget account 3650 funds are utilized for the operation and maintenance of the Nevada Air and National and Army facilities throughout the state, and for the operations of Nevada Youth Challenge Program. The first major enhancement decision unit that we'll be discussing is E275. E275 is the decision unit requesting funds for the ongoing operations of the Nevada Youth Challenge Program. The base amount in state fiscal year 2020 does not reflect full cost of running the challenge program. This decision unit requests the additional authority for a full academy for state fiscal year 22 and 23. So for state fiscal year 22 and 23, for state fiscal year 22, we're requesting an additional 1.9 million in authority with 595,000 for DSA authority, which will be amended once the center pupil plan. If that center pupil plan is approved, then we will receive more DSA or total school, student funding. We will amend this as we go, as we receive the information. For state fiscal year 2023, we're requesting 1.8 million with 595,000 again in DSA and 1.2 million in federal authority. Next decision unit is E350. This decision unit requests funds for a psychological health manager, unclassified position within the agency. This position will provide guidance to leadership on psychological health issues, psychological health initiatives, and population health monitoring of military personnel and their families. It would serve as community liaison with military and non-military agencies to promote timely information exchange, coordinate collaborative prevention efforts, and establish and maintain a range of resources, associations, and community partnerships. This position is essential in maintaining the mental health and safety of military personnel, their families, and the community. It has an impact on suicide prevention and soldier and airman mental health care. We are requesting 79,761 in state fiscal year 2022 for this, and for state fiscal year 2023, we're requesting 105,637 to support this position. Next, we have our one-shot appropriations. First decision unit is E380. This decision unit requests funding for facilities maintenance projects that is essential for the health and safety of personnel utilizing Nevada Army National Guard facilities throughout the state. Projects requested include reconditioning of water tank, sidewalk replacement and addition, covered patio addition, design and installation of loading docks, flooring replacement, remodeling restrooms, and shade area replacements. Total requested for state fiscal year 2022 is 696,000, of which 293,100 is general fund. For state fiscal year 2023, total request is 575,848, with general fund request of 236,924. Next slide discusses the one-shot appropriations also for equipment replacement. E710 decision unit requests funding for computer replacements, and E711 decision unit requests funding for small equipment replacements. E710 requests a total general fund of 24,473 in 2022, and state fiscal year 2023, we're requesting 15,277. For E711, we're requesting, for both fiscal years, we're requesting $64,026 with a general fund of $21,590 for each state fiscal year. Next is our slide for CIP projects. We have 22 CIPs in the governor's approved budget. It totals to 82.6 million with 41.9 million as state funding. Next slide. So lastly, we'd like to present that agency has submitted a budget amendment to establish 2 new STAR-based programs within our state. One would be located in Reno, and one would be located in the South, in Vegas. STAR-based, DoD STAR-based is a premier educational program sponsored by the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Manpower and Reserve Affairs. The STAR-based is for 5th grade students to participate in challenging hands-on, minds-on activities in science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM,
They interact with military personnel to explore careers and observe STEM applications in the real world. The program provides students with 24 hours of stimulating experience at our National Guard bases facilities. That concludes our presentation. We are here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Brooks, do you want to follow up on that question now that she's finished the presentation?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Dennis. You kind of just went by it real briefly, and I just wondered if you could maybe expand upon how that new position in E350 is going to improve the existing services and what they'll be able to do for Guard members and families around mental health.
Thank you. And again, General Berry, and I'll answer that if that's okay. And I kind of go back to when I first took this job, I think it was September 9th. I think I'd been on the job 9 days. We had, this was 2019, we had our first suicide. And that caused me to take a really deep dive into our existing resources and personnel that were mental health specialists. What I found out is the waiting list for our personnel to see a mental health specialist was unreal in terms of it could take up to 2 weeks to have access to someone. And then they have Military One Source where they could call online and they were being put on hold asking for assistance. And on a regular basis, I was getting what they call these CIR reports, where these were people who were having, soldiers or airmen who were having suicide ideations. And when I started talking to the personnel who were assigned as mental health specialists, they said that they just didn't have the bandwidth to see the number of airmen and soldiers that really needed the help. And to be very honest with you, I could use 5 positions. One of the father of the soldier that was killed in 2019, Mr. Rochelle, even is working with us to even look at how he can bring in private funds to bring in additional personnel to assist us. So when it comes to ask for resources or support, this is my single one area where I know I don't have enough personnel to assist our soldiers and airmen. And when you think about what's thrown at them from deployments to families to what they're asked to do domestically or abroad, and think about a 21-year-old who goes to Afghanistan and what they get exposed to, and then they come back and we ask them to be normal. And without having the additional safety net of the resource to get them back aligned to what society asks of them, the one thing that was important to me is to find that resource, find that support, find that position, find that technical expert, so to speak, that could help integrate them back into society. And so what this would do for us and would be tremendous because it gives our mental health specialists some more bandwidth to see more of our people. And right now, we are behind the curve in terms of having the resources we need to get our members the help that they're asking for on a regular basis. And I think a lot of people are aware that you'll hear these stories where there's 22 suicides committed a day, by veterans or those in active duty. And when I get a chance to talk to National Guard Bureau, that number is not going down across the nation. We've had 2 since 2019. We had on the Army side, we had 5 from 2015 to 2019. And that, to me, 1 is just too much because there's a family attached. And we're just talking about suicides. We're not talking about things like alcoholism or divorce or, going into debt, et cetera. So in terms of what the position would do to help, it would be tremendous because it gives us a resource and another support avenue for our members who are asking for help. And and that's the biggest thing is anything that I can do to get them the support and the help that they need to get back into somewhat of a normal life. I'm gonna ask. So this would be a big help for us. And even though I know that we need additional help, this is a great start. So thank you for even considering it because this is my single one need right now as an organization.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. And so this is state general fund funded, this position. And do you know if there are any further federal funding opportunities for such an important role that this position, and then like you said, you could use 5 more. Are there matching funds or any sort of federal funding opportunities for this, for mental health, to expand the mental health services for Nevada's Guard?
So from the federal standpoint, this has been elevated to what's called the Chief of the National Guard Bureau, and he's put his vice chief of 3-star to start 2 subcommittees. One is for sexual harassment, sexual assault, and one is for suicides. And so they are looking very closely at how they can get the Department of Defense to help supplement and also help assist. I will say that at this time that we have asked for additional help from the private sector in terms of Mr. Rochelle is helping with that. And but every position that's asked for, because currently we have 3 that are supported by the feds. Every position is asked for. There's a whole process that they have to go through, and you guys probably understand this better than me in terms of going through. So now they're putting together the needs assessment, and they know that the needs are there. And every state is asking for more mental health professionals. But what you find is the majority of states that are fully resourced, they're getting help on the state side. So going back to your question, yes, it's being looked at, but to get the immediate help, most states are getting on the state side or from the private sector.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and keep up all the good work in this area, and in everything that the Guard's doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I believe Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno has a question or a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a question, but a comment to the Major General and his staff. I wanted to say thank you for everything you have done working with the citizens of the state as we work through this pandemic, but specifically for this subject matter. I know a few months ago, we had a discussion. There were some servicemen in my district that were having difficulties, and you and your team stepped up to help them. I appreciate you understanding the importance of the emotional and behavioral health care of our men and women in uniform, and you going out of your way to doing everything you can to help them and their families. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to continue to fight because it's just important that we take care of them for, they give so much and they love to serve, but we throw a lot at them. And I'll tell you, coming into this job, I didn't even know how many were hurting. And so we're doing the best we can, and we're going to continue to fight to do everything we can to take care of our airmen and soldiers.
Great. Thank you very much. And I know it's been a year with extra things that you had to do, and so we sure appreciate all the work that you do and all the folks that serve. With that, any other questions? Not seeing anybody. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and close that budget and move on to our next item on the agenda, which is public comment. So if BPS could open the public comment line and queue up the first caller.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. The public line is open and working. However, there are no callers at this time.
Okay, let's give it, we got to give it at least 30 seconds, right? Because they won't hear it for 30 seconds.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair. BPS standing by. Thank you, Chair Dennis. The public line is still open and working, and there are no callers at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank the members for their work today. We're getting closer to finishing up budgets, and so thank you for the questions, and thank you for participating this day. And that's all the items that we have on our agenda. So we are adjourned.